And Andrew, you went to Iran with Vice News in May, and part of what you reported on was the use of AI GIFs and memes as a weapon against the US and stuff. Had the Iranians proven to be, in terms of modern warfare, in terms of their tactics, a lot smarter perhaps than the Americans and Israelis anticipated?
Yeah, I would say not just smarter militarily, but also just like the average drive and political involvement of the typical person in Tehran was higher than you might see in the US. Like in the US, you have maybe like 5 to 10% of people who might say with their chest something like, I'm willing to die for America. But in Iran, they see themselves as part of this like kind of this continuous thread of an ancient civilization. And just the resolve of the people was very like extreme. But at the same time, I also went on the invite or like with an approved press pass by the IRGC. So the places that I was able to go to were a bit limited. Like, there's only free speech when it comes to public protest to the extent that the government sanctions it. So I'm actually not sure if the perspective that I got was reflective of like the standard reality and median opinion of Iranians, but definitely the people that I saw were more committed and intensely devoted to the success of the war or the defeat of the U.S. than anyone that I saw on domestic soil.
I mean, Max Afterburner, from a military point of view, Trump keeps saying, look, we've destroyed their Air Force, their Navy, everything's done, the ballistic missile capability, all these things. And then we wake up most mornings and the Iranians somehow seem to be attacking Bahrain, Kuwait, everything else. It's like, well, these two things can't be true at the same time. What is actually going on here? I mean, it's very hard to work out who is telling the truth when we can only gauge it on missiles landing in these countries from Iran, who apparently have no military left.
Yeah, well, Iran's gotten really strong, as everybody can see, right? So over the decades, they've been given money, they've been given time, and what they've done is build multiple ballistic missile bunkers inside of mountains, right? That's what they've taken all their money, $500 million a day, and built that. So Trump inherited a situation where this cancer has grown into a massive problem. These guys have gotten really strong, and I think the world is seeing that right now.
So why lie about it then? Why keep telling everyone we've destroyed all their military?
Pierce, it's like a UFC fight, right? You could be absolutely crushing the opponent, but in round 5, round 6, the opponent can still get a jab in. So it's said that Iran
But I think it's more than
conflict.
a jab, Max. I mean, I look at it and I try and always be fair-minded about these things, right? I don't want to have a horse in the race. I want to listen to all the arguments.
Which I appreciate. You bring on all sides, which I appreciate.
Which I think is really important when there's all this stuff going on. But I'm really struggling to equate what Donald Trump posts on a daily basis with reality. And maybe he is trying to game this, like his book, The Art of the Deal. I read it a few times. A lot of his playbook is from The Art of the Deal, but he's not dealing in New York real estate. He's not dealing in it's not a UFC fight. This is a real war with real people, and the Iranians, I think he's bitten off here more than he expected to chew.
Well, they've gotten a lot stronger than they should have ever gotten. Like, this action should have been taken a long time ago. But it said they started with 5,000 ballistic missiles at the beginning of the conflict months ago. Now they're down to around somewhere 2,000 to 3,000, which is obviously still a massive problem.
I think he's actually made things worse, potentially, right? Because I think that the Iranian regime, far from feeling imperiled, I think when they faced an existential threat, as they did, they've managed to game out a way of responding which has proven highly effective. And, for all the posturing from the Trump administration, they clearly still control the Strait of Hormuz. It's indisputable. You can just see the boats coming in and out on a daily basis. People are tracking it. And when they want to turn that tap off, they turn it off. And when they want to fire missiles at their neighboring, they just do it. And they do it every time they're attacked. So I just feel like...
Look at the price of Brent crude, though.
Well, yeah, but the real problem here, it seems to me, and Curtis, I'd like your response to this, is that...
Oh, yeah, well,
is that they could actually feel emboldened now in the sense that they have discovered that the Strait of Hormuz gives them way more leverage than they could have ever dreamed of.
Piers, we've been down this road before. Remember the evil seed of Kim Jong mentally ill behind the rice cake curtain of North Korea? Bill Clinton, in his memoir, said, I was moments away from sending the jets in. They'll never get a nuclear weapon. Trump chose a different approach. He met with him twice. Guess what? North Korea, which was a threat to the world, we was told, these crazy people, if they have a nuclear weapon, it's Armageddon. They got 15 nuclear bombs because they know what every country knows. When you have a nuke, nobody messes with you. Look what happened
It's
to Gaddafi.
different with them, though.
Look what happened to the Ukraine. They gave up their nuclear weapons. Do you think Putin and Russia would have ever invaded the Ukraine if they still had their nuclear weapons? A nuclear weapon guarantees that nobody's going to attack your country.
And the problem now, Andrew Callaghan, is that the Iranians now will probably push harder for a nuclear weapon precisely for the reason Curtis just laid out, which is actually, given they've had an existential threat against their entire existence, that they've managed to survive, the best way to avoid this happening again is to arm themselves with a nuclear weapon. So in other words, it could end up, if Trump isn't very careful here, with them establishing the very thing he now says the whole point of the war was to stop happening. And I'm not sure how he can stop it.
آنچه در مورد ما میگویند